So my name is Autumn Gary, and I live in Savannah, Georgia. I am Iroquois, Six Nations, Haudenosaunee, Mohawk. Yeah, and my art, my art form, I mostly do sculpture. And right now I'm doing collaborative pieces with Taiomah, which are behind me. So I have a strong affinity to birds. I consider birds to be messengers, and I've sort of had a relationship with them my whole life. And so I do these birds that are sort of like my spirit birds that don't really have any one specific type or species when I'm making them. So I tend to do the birds, and then Taiomah comes back in with the applique designs that he's created, and will impose them on each other. And I wanted to use sort of like, this is birch plywood. I wanted to use sort of an earthy, like, grounding material, especially because when we think of birds, a lot of times we do think, I mean, obviously they live in trees and all, you know, nests everywhere, but the contrast of like sky and earth and kind of creating some type of elemental feeling in them. And also it lends itself really well to the sculptural aspect of cutting out the positive and negative, which is a big part of the relationship of sculptural pieces. So translating almost like a three-dimensional to a 2D, and keeping that positive, negative in the sculptural aspect. I really try not to be too representational. I mean, I know these are definitely obviously birds, but a lot of times when I'm doing designs, I really try to get into the energy of the abstraction of the movement. Like, I really, like, even in these, I feel like we're kind of capturing the idea of flight patterns. If you've ever seen like migration and flight patterns when they sort of track it, that's what this feels like to me. So sometimes when people look at the pieces, that it's interesting to me what parts they're noticing. Right. Often they're not just noticing what I consider positive. They might be looking at the negative aspects, which I love. So yeah, especially children. I'll have children look at my pieces and say things that I might not have seen, which is really fantastic. But yeah, I think that's what I love about you know, non-representational work is people can take what they see in it and apply it to them in a more personal way. You're not like telling someone what it is so much as allowing them to have an interaction with art. You know, for me, community is like everything in my life. Like when I'm not doing my independent work, I'm working with community. So I do therapeutic art outreach. Oh, amazing. I work with the Center of Blind. I work with speech and hearing, using art as a modality and a tool. So, I mean, I work with almost every organization you could think of in Savannah. So I truly believe in the power of art being like a language. And sometimes we're all struggling with different things in our life that we can't tap into as easily. You know, when we go into the mind space, sometimes when we're in our mind, we have a really hard time like tapping into the things that we need to find healing in. And I find art is such a beautiful modality because it's like as you start releasing that line or that energy or whatever's inside, it's the one thing that starts informing you about yourself as you're creating. It's true. So it's like you are literally having a conversation with the energy of, you know, and it's not just emanating from within you, it's also collective experience of what's around you. So to me, it's literally the, like, you know, definition of collaboration and community, because we're influenced by everything and each other. And so, yeah, I guess that's what I would want, is people to just create, like inspire people to create in their communities and with one another, and use art as literally a language and a modality to reach into different recesses that maybe are blocked or that we overthink or we struggle to get to.
I think one of the things that I had hoped for the show was the importance of visibility for Native communities. How would you like to see the relationship between gallery spaces and artists, like Native artists, take? You know, what kind of route would you like to see them follow up with? I need to write it down a little bit better, but
no, that's yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we're sort of on the precipice of realizing that we need to be more inclusive as a culture. I mean, I hope. Yeah, I think that we talk about this a lot. Like, one of the things that I have struggled with in my life being an abstract artist is a lot of times people will say, oh, you need to make more native art. And I'm like, what is native art? Like, what is that conversation? And Taiomah and I have talked about that before too, is like, is it native art because I'm native, or is it native art because I'm doing traditional forms in my work, or is it, and I think we get stigmatized a lot. And I would like to see us be able to be free to express ourselves as contemporary artists, while honoring traditional past, but like, I think that's really important to me, is that like not a lot of other groups get asked, like, to make a certain type of art to be relevant. Right. And that is something that I think needs to be destigmatized for the Native community.
And hence the name ReVision.
Right. And that's why I love the title ReVision, because it's like we do need to revisit these concepts. And I think for Native artists to feel comfortable being able to like kind of break boundaries and express themselves in ways that feel authentic. Right. Because life is happening now. Right. And we're still here, and we have different stories and we have different experiences, and I think that is really important. Right. And it is under recognized, and it's underrepresented as a whole. So
another question that I think, and we did kind of touch on it, but I think the importance of artists and community. In the community setting, like as far as like Indigenous artists, we've always been at the spear point. Well, artists in general have always been the spear point for every social, economic, or social justice, or any kind of movement that's taken place. It is a way of communicating ideas and things like that. And I think one of the things that I was kind of hoping for with our show is finding out with the artists, like, what does community mean to you, and how can we apply the arts to that vision that you have for community?
So, I work a lot with people who are disabled or, have different abilities, and I work I basically, to sum up that question, I think we need to be much more inclusive. In my exhibitions, I try to include braille, tactile elements. I try to include elements of vibration for the deaf, like touch, vibration. That's awesome. Wheelchair accessibility. These are all things that we sometimes don't consider, and they're definitely like musts for me. Like it's kind of something that maybe if people aren't used to living with someone with any type of disability, or that experiences the world differently, they don't consider. Right. But it is necessary, because what we don't realize, we're excluding a whole bunch of our culture, and making spaces that don't feel comfortable or safe for a lot of people. Right. And so for me, whatever your background is, how you identify, we need to be much more inclusive, and I think that's the most pressing thing for me. There should be safe space. Art should be a safe space to feel free to express yourself, to feel like you are comfortable in your own autonomy, a
safe place to be uncomfortable.
To be able to and make others uncomfortable. And that's okay too. Right. Because if we don't face discomfort, we're never able to grow. And we can't be just continuing in this like thing where we're all like in these little cookie cutter boxes, and everybody feels safe, and we know what we're supposed to say and how we're supposed to behave. I am so like over that.
Of the relationship between gallery spaces and Native artists, like how do we explore that? How can we get on the same page? But also the last one I think was definitely the role, like how can we apply arts into our communities? Yeah, so applying arts into our communities and better restoring those pathways between gallery spaces and Native artists and representation.
Well, the other thing is, like, as artists, I do feel like it's sort of our obligation to like not wait. Like we don't like sure there is things that we need materials or funding or whatever, but like to me, because art is just like such an inclusive language. I mean, there's been times where I'll just take a piece of cardboard out in the street and paint with people,
Right.
and just see who stumbles upon on their bike or whatever walking by. I think that is like sort of our calling or our responsibility. There's never going to be the perfect environment. There's never going to be the perfect setting. I think it has to come from a desire that is willing to go out there and make change and see, you know, maybe against whatever odds you're facing. You have, you know, I mean, you might not have a studio, paint in your kitchen. You might not have a lot of materials, like I said, a piece of recycled cardboard. And I've done work with people on that and had so much fun and seen breakthrough and like all kinds of beautiful things happening. So